नमो ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत श्री श्रीमद हिज डिवाइन ग्रेस एसी भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रीला प्रभुपाद की जय। अनंत कोटि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, I hope all you are doing well. Today we'll be reading from Nectar of Devotion, chapter 29, Expression of Love for Krishna. Chapter 29, Expression of Love for Krishna. So before we start, let's pray first. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshuru Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Narayanam Namaskritam Naranchaivo Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tatam Jayamudirae. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. नमो ओम विष्णुपादाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी नित्य नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे. So let's begin. Please listen very carefully. Expression of love for Krishna. There are some bodily symptoms that express overwhelming ecstatic love, Vyabhicharini Bhava. There are counted they are counted at 33 as follows: disappointment, lamentation, humility, guilt, fatigue, intoxication, pride, doubt, apprehension, intense emotion, madness, forgetfulness, disease, confusion, death, laziness, inertness, wastefulness, concealment, remembrance, argumentativeness, anxiety, thoughtfulness, endurance, happiness, eagerness, violence, haughtiness, envy, impotence, dizziness, sleepiness, alertness. Disappointment. When one is forced, when one is forced to act in a way that is forbidden or to refrain from the acting in a way that is proper, he become regretful and thinking himself dishonored. At that time there is a sense of disappointment. In this kind of disappointment, one become full of anxiety, shed tear, changes bodily color, feel humility, breathe heavily. When Krishna is when Krishna in pushing the Kaliya serpent appeared to have drowned himself in the poisonous water of Yamuna, Nanda Maharaj addressed Yashoda Devi thus, "My dear wife, Krishna has gone deep into the water, and so there is no longer any need to maintain our body, which are so full of sinful activity. Let us enter into the poisonous water of Yamuna and compensate for the sinful activity of our life." There is an intense of severe shock wherein the devotee become greatly disappointed. When Krishna left Vrindavana, Subala, his intimate friend, decided to leave also. While leaving, Subala was contemplating that without Krishna there was no longer any pleasure to be found in Vrindavana. The analogy is given that As the bees goes away from the flower that has no honey, Subala left Brindavan when he found that there was no longer any relishable transcendental pleasure there. In a Danakeli Kaumudi, Srimati Radharani address one of her friend in this manner: my dear friend, if I cannot hear the glory, if I cannot hear of the glorious activity of Krishna, it is better for me to become deaf. And because I am now unable to see him, it would be good for me to be a blind woman. This is another instance of disappointment due to separation from Krishna. There is a statement in a Hari Vamsa wherein Satyabhama, one of the queen of Krishna in Dwarika, tells her husband, my dear Krishna, since I heard Narada glorifying Rukmini before you, I can understand that there is no need of any talking about myself. This is intense of disappointment caused by envy. Rukmini and Satyabhama were co-wife, and because Krishna was husband of both, there naturally was some feminine envy between them. So when Satyabhama heard the glory of Rukmini, she was envious of her and thus become disappointed. In 10th canto, 51st chapter, verse 47 of Srimad Bhagavatam, there is this statement, my dear Krishna, I cannot say that it is only other people who are implicated in the material existence because I am too much entangled with this bodily concept of life. I am always too anxious about my family, home, wife, wealth, land, and kingdom. And because I have been so maddened uh, by this material atmosphere, I am thinking now that my life has simply been spoiled. This statement is an intense of disappointment caused by lamentation. According to Bharatamuni, this disappointment is inauspicious. But there is other learned scholar who have accepted such disappointment as being the mood of neutrality, as being a perspective of ecstatic love. Lamentation. When one is unsuccessful in achieving his desired goal of life, when one find no fulfillment in the present occupation, when one find himself in reverse condition, and when one feel guilt, at such a time one is said to be in a state of lamentation. In this condition of lamentation, one become questioning, thoughtful, tearful, regretful, and heavy breathed. His bodily color change and his mouth become dry. One aged devotee of Krishna addressed him in this way: my dear Krishna, O killer of demon Agha, my body is now invalid due to old age. I cannot speak very fluently. My voice is faltering. My mind is not strong, and I am often attacked by forgetfulness. But my dear Lord, you are just like a moonlight, and my only regret is that for want of any taste for your pleasant shining, I did not advance myself in Krishna consciousness. This statement is an instance of lamentation due to one's being unable to achieve his desired goal. One devotee said, this night I was dreaming of collecting various flowers from the garden, and I was thinking of making a garland to offer to Krishna. But I am so unfortunate that all of a sudden my dream was over and I could not achieve my desired goal. This statement is an instance of lamentation resulting for non-fulfillment of one's duty. When Nanda Maharaj saw his foster son Krishna embarrassed in the sacrificial area of Kangsha, he said, how unfortunate I am that I do not keep my son bolted within a room. Unfortunately, I have brought him to Mathura. Now I see that he is embarrassed by the giant elephant named Kubalya. It is as though the moon of Krishna were eclipsed by the shadow of the earth. This is the intense of lamentation caused by the reverse condition. In the 10th canto, 14th chapter, verse 9 of Srimad Bhagavatam, there is a statement by Brahma: my dear Lord, just see my impudence. You are unlimited, the original personality Godhead, the super soul, and you can rule over the kind of most kind of perfect illusionary energy, and just kind of see my importance. I wanted to supersede you by my own personal power. I was very puffed up with this kind of tiny powerful power of mine. Just as a simple spark of fire cannot do any harm to the fire, so my bewildered potency was completely unsuccessful in the thwarting your superior illusionary power. Therefore, I find myself to be the most insignificant and think of myself as a most useless person. This statement by Brahma is intense of lamentation caused by committing of offense, humility. The sense of weakness caused by distress, fear or offensiveness is called humility. A sense of weakness caused by distress, fear, or offensiveness is called humility. In such a humble condition, one becomes talkative, small in heart, dirty in mind, full of anxiety, and inactive. Full of anxiety and inactive. In the 10th canto, first chapter, verse 57 of Srimad Bhagavatam, there is a following statement by King Muchkunda: "My dear Lord, because my dear Lord, because of my bad deed in the kind of past, I am everlasting, everlasting, aggrieved. I am always suffering from my desire, but still my senses are never satisfied with material enjoyment. Somehow or other, by your grace, I am now a peaceful condition because I have taken shelter to your lotus feet, which are always free from lamentation, fear, or death. The supreme protector or supreme gonna protector or supreme gonna soul, the supreme controller, kindly gonna give me your protection. I am so much embarrassed. This statement by Muchkunda is like an intense yeah. Muchkunda is an intense of humility resulting for severely miserable condition of material existence. When Uttara was attacked by the Brahmastra of Aswathama, she became afraid of losing her child. Maharaja Pariksit, who was still within the Oms, she immediately surrendered to Krishna and said, "My dear Lord, kindly save my child. I do not mind if I myself be must be killed by the Brahmastra of Aswathama." This is an intense humility caused by fear. In the 10th canto, 14th chapter, verse 10 of Srimad Bhagavatam, Lord Brahma says, "O infallible one, I am born in the mode of passion, and therefore I have been falsely uh, proud of being of a kind of creator of material world. The falsely pride kind of was just like a dense darkness, and in this darkness I had become blind. In my blindness, I was considering myself a competitor to you, the supreme personality God. But my dear Lord, even though I am accepted as a creator of the universe, I am eventually your servant. Therefore, kindly always be compassionate towards me. Excuse me in that way." This statement by Brahma is another instance of humility resulting from committing an offense. Sometimes there is a humility due to shyness. For example, when Krishna stole all of the garment from the Gopikanu while they were bathing in the river, all of them begged Krishna not to commit this injustice upon them. The gopis addressed him this: "My dear Krishna, you know that you are the son of Nanda Maharaj, and you are the most beloved of all Vrindavana. You are very much loved by us also. But why you are giving us? Are you giving us this trouble? Kindly return our garment." And just see how we are trembling from severe cold. This humility was due to their shyness of being naked before Krishna. Guilt: when a kind of person blame himself for committing an inappropriate action, his feeling is called guilt. One day, Srimati Radharani was churning yogurt for Krishna. At that time, the jeweled bangle on her hand was circling around, and she was also chanting the holy name of Krishna. All of a sudden, she thought, I am chanting the holy name of the Krishna, and my superior, my mother-in-law, and my sister-in-law may hear me." By this thought, Radharani became over anxious. This is an intense or this is an intense of feeling guilty because of devotion to Krishna. One day, the beautiful eyed Srimati Radharani entered into the forest to collect some flower to prepare a garland for Krishna. While collecting the flowers, she became afraid that someone might see her, and she kind of felt some fatigue and weakness. This is an intense of guilty feeling caused by labor for Krishna. There is a statement in Rasa Sudhakara that after passing that night with Krishna, Radharani became so weak that she was unable to get up from bed. When Krishna took her hand to help her, Radharani felt guilty about having passed the night with him. Fatigue. One feels fatigue after walking a long distance, after dancing, and after sexual activity. In this kind of fatigue, there is a dizziness, perspiration, inactivity of the limb, yearning, and very heavy breathing. One day, Yashoda was chasing Krishna in the yard after he was off. He had offended her. After a while, Yashoda became very kind of fatigued, and therefore she was perspiring, and her husband and her kind of branched kind of hair can become kind of loosened. There is intense of becoming fatigue because of working too much. Sometime all of the cowherd friend of Krishna along with the Balarama dance together in the ceremony. At the time, all the garland of their kind of necks kind of would kind of move, and the boys would kind of begin to perspire. Their whole body can become kind of weight from the kind of ecstatic dancing. This is the intense of fatigue caused by dancing. In Srimad Bhagavatam 10th canto, 33rd chapter, verse 20, it is said after with Krishna by dancing, embarrassing, and kissing, sometimes very tired, and Krishna, out of his causeless mercy and the compassion, would smear this kind of face with a lotus hand, and this is example of the fatigue caused by laboring in the rasa dansa. Intoxication. When one becomes arrogant with a false prestige due to drinking intoxicant or being too lustful, the voice becomes faulty. The eyes become swollen. There is a symptom of redness of the body. There is a statement in the Lalit Madhava of that Lord Balarama intoxicated from drinking excessive quantity of honey. One become to address the end. Oh, you can a king of the end, why you are hiding yourself in this hole. At the same time, he also addressed the king of heaven. Oh, King Indra, you can a plaything of Sachi. Why you are laughing? I am now prepared to smash the whole universe, and I know that Krishna will be very angry with me. Then he addressed Krishna, my dear Krishna, tell me immediately why the whole world is trembling and why the moon has become elongated. And oh, you the member of the Yadu dynasty, why you are laughing at me? Please give me back my liquor made of honey from the kadamba flower. Srila Rupa Goswami prayer that Lord Balarama will be pleased with all of us while he is thus talking just like an intoxicated person. If this state of intoxication, Balarama felt tired and lay down for rest. Generally, those who are exalted personality lie down when they are feel intoxicated, whereas those are mediocre kind of love and seeing during intoxication. Those who are kind of lowly can use vulgar love and sometimes cry. Such intoxication is manifested according to different age of mentality. Srila Rupa Goswami does not describe further in this direction because there is no necessity for such discussion. There is another description of the symptom of intoxication in the person of Sri Radharani after she saw Krishna. Sometimes she was walking hither and thither. Sometimes she was laughing. Sometimes she was covering her face. Sometimes she was talking without any meaning. And sometimes she was praying to her associate gopis. Seeing this symptom in Radharani, the gopi began to talk among themselves. Just see how Radharani has become intoxicated simply by seeing Krishna before her. This is the intense instance of ecstatic love in intoxication. Pride. Expression of ecstatic love in pride may be result of excessive wealth, exquisite beauty, first kind of class residence of or kind of attainment of the kind of one ideal goal. One is also considered proud when he does not kind of care about the neglect of others. Pillamangal Thakur said, "My dear Krishna, you are leaving me, forcibly getting out the clutch. Kind of, but I shall be impressed by your kind of strength only kind of when you can go forcibly from the core of my heart." This is an instance of feeling pride in ecstatic love for Krishna. Once during the Rasa dance, when Radharani left the arena and Krishna went back to see her, one of the kind of dear kind of friend of Radharani addressed Krishna, "Thus, my dear Krishna, you have been very much oblique in the kind of serving in form of our Sri Radharani. And now you have kind of left all the kind of gopi to search for her. Please allow me to inquire how you can want to here to treat you." This is the intense of feeling pride and account of exquisite beauty. Sometimes Radharani kind of felt pride kind of within herself and said, "Although the crowded boy prepared nice kind of flower garland for Krishna, when I present my garland to kind of him, he becomes struck with kind of wonder and immediately accept it and kind of put it on our heart." Similarly, in the 10th canto chapter, in second chapter, verse 33 of the Srimad Bhagavatam, Lord Brahma says, "My dear Madhusudana, person who are put devotee in persons who are pure devotee of your lordship actually feel you are ecstatic in a friendship, and as much they are never vanquished by enemy. They can knew they know they are always protected by you, and so they can matter of faulty can pass over the kind of head of the enemy without any care. In other words, one who has kind of taken complete shelter under the lotus feet of the Lord is always proud of being able to conquer all enemy. One, however, at Mathura address Krishna in this way: "My dear King of Vrindavana, I have and become so proud of your causeless mercy upon me that I do not even count upon the mercy of the Lord of Vaikuntha, which is sought after many great sages in deep meditation." In other words, although the yogi and the great sages sit in the meditation upon Lord Vishnu, who is residing in Vaikuntha, a devotee of Krishna is so proud that he does not consider such meditation to be very valuable. This feeling of pride is due to one having achieved the highest goal of life, Krishna. Doubt. After Lord Brahma had stolen all the calf and cowherd boy from Krishna, he was trying to go away. But all of a sudden, he became doubtful about his stealing affair and began to watch all of the sides with his eight eye. Lord Brahma has four head, and therefore he has eight eye. This is intense ecstatic love in doubt caused by stealing. Similarly, just to please Krishna, Akrudak stole Samantaka money, the stone that can be produced unlimited quantity of gold. But later on, he repented his stealing. This is another intense of ecstatic love for Krishna in doubt caused by stealing. When the king of heaven, Indra, was causing torrent of rain to fall of the land of the Broja, he was advised to surrender himself at the lotus feet of the Krishna. At that time, Indra face become very dark because of doubt, apprehension. When a person becomes disturbed in his heart by seeing lightning in the sky, by seeing the ferocious animal, or by hearing the tumultuous sound, his state of mind is called apprehensive. In such a kind of state of apprehension, one try to take shelter of something that proves safety. Maybe maybe standing of the hair of the body, trembling of the body, and sometimes the committing of mistake. As sometimes of the body may become stunned. In the Padavali, there is a following statement: "My dear Krishna, Krishna residence in the demoniac circle at Mathura under the supremacy of the king of demon. Kamsa is causing much worry." This is one instance of apprehending some danger to Krishna in ecstatic love for him. When Vatsasura appeared in the Vrindavana as a bull, All the gopi become greatly affected with fear. Being perturbed in that way, they began to embrace the Tamala tree. This is intense of kind of fear caused by ferocious animal and search of shelter while remembering Krishna in ecstatic love. Upon hearing the jackal crying in the forest, Vrindavana Mother Yashoda sometimes became very careful about keeping Krishna under her vigilance, fearing that Krishna might not attacked by them. There is intense of ecstatic love for Krishna in fear caused by the tumultuous sound. This kind of fear is like is fear is a little different from being actually afraid. When one is afraid of something, he can still think of past and future. But when there is a kind of ecstatic apprehension, there is no intense emotion. Emotion is caused by something very dear, by something very detestable, by fire, by strong wind and strong rainfall, by some natural disturbance, by a sight of being elephant, or by sight of by the kind of sight of an enemy. When there is emotion caused by uh, saying something very dear, one can speak very swiftly and can use kind word. When there is an emotion caused by kind of saying something detestable, one cries very loudly. When there is an emotion caused by seeing fire, one try to kind of flee. There kind of maybe kind of trembling of the kind of body, kind of closing of the eye and tear in the kind of eyes. When uh, when one become emotional on account of strong wine, and one try to kind of run very kind of swiftly and rub his eyes. One is emotional because of rainfall. One take an umbrella, and there is a tension in this body. When there is emotion due to sudden disturbance, one face become discolored. One becomes stuck with wonder, and there is a trembling of the body. If there is emotion of seeing an elephant, one may jump and show kind of various sign of fear, and sometimes one may kind of keep looking behind him. When there is emotion due to kind of presence of enemy, one look for the fatal weapon and try to kind of escape. When Krishna returned from the kind of forest of Brindavana, Mother Yashoda was kind of so emotional from seeing her kind of son, that kind of milk began to kind of flow from her breast. This is an intense of emotion caused by seeing a dear object. In the 10th canto, 23rd chapter, verse 18 of Srimad Bhagavatam, Sukdev Goswami informed King Pariksit, my dear king, the wife of the Brahmana was usually very much attached to the glorification of Krishna. So they were always anxious to kind of get an opportunity to see him. Because of this, when they heard the Krishna was very nearby, and they kind of become kind of very anxious to kind of see him, and immediately left their kind of home. And this is the intense emotional activity caused by the kind of presence of someone very dear. When Putana, the demoniac witch, was struck down and killed by Krishna, Mother Yashoda was kind of stuck with kind of wonder that began to cry emotionally. Oh, what is this? What is this? When she saw that her dear baby Krishna was playing on the chest of the kind of dead demoniac woman, Mother Yashoda, at a loss on what to do, began to kind of work this way and that. This is an intense being emotional and on the account of being saying something justly. When Krishna uprooted the two Arjuna tree, Yashoda heard the sound of the tree crashing down. She became overcome with emotional and simply kind of stirred kind of upward, being too bewildered to Krishna, that when else to do. This is the kind of intense of kind of being emotional from the hearing a simultaneous sound. When there was a forest fire in Brindavana, there was a cowherd men assembled together and desperately can appeal to the for Krishna for protection. This is an intense of emotion caused by fire. whirlwind demon known as the Trinavarta once carried Krishna off from the ground and blew him around with some very tree. At that time, Yashoda could not see her son, and she was so disturbed that she began to work this way and that. This is the intense emotion caused by the by the severe wind. In the 10th canto, 25th chapter, verse 11, Srimad Bhagavatam, there is a description of Indra causing severe torrent of rain in Vrindavana. All the cow and cowherd boy become so afflicted by the afflicted by the wind and cold that they are all gathered together to take shelter under the lotus feet of Krishna. This is the intense of emotion caused by the severe rainfall. There were severe torrent of hail when Krishna was staying in the forest in Vrindavana, and the elderly person who bid him, Krishna bid him, do not don't you move now. Even the person who are the stronger and older than you cannot move, and you are just a little boy, so please stay still. In this intense of emotion caused by heavy healing, when Krishna was chastising Kaliya in the chastising Kaliya in the poisonous water of Yamuna, Mother Yashoda began to speak emotionally. Oh, see how the earth appeared to be trembling. There appeared to be an earth tremor in the sky, tear and a flying here and there. My dear son has entered into the poisonous water of Yamuna. What shall I do now? This is the intense of emotion resulting from the natural disturbance. In the arena of the Kamsa, when Krishna was attacked by the big elephant, all the ladies present began to address him in this way. My dear boy, please leave this place immediately. Please leave this place immediately. Do not. You can see the big elephant coming to attack you. Your innocent gazing upon them is causing us too much perturbation. Krishna then told Mother Yashoda, my dear mother, do not be perturbed by the appearance of that elephant and horse that are so forcibly coming and raising dust, causing the blindness to this lotus eye omen. Even let even the Casey demon come before me. My arm will still be adequate for victory. So please do not perturb. The Lalit Madhava, a friend, tell Mother Yashoda how beautiful, how wonderful it is that when the Sanakoda demon vast strong as a great heel attacked your coupled like beautiful son. There was no one present in Brindamana to help, and yet the demon was killed by the little son. It appeared to be due to the result of the several penance and austerity in your past life that your son was saved in this way. In the Lalit Madhava, there is an account of Krishna kidnapping Rukmini in at the royal marriage ceremony. At that time, all of the princes present began to converse among themselves, saying, We have our elephant, horses, chariot, bows, arrows, and swords. So why should we be afraid of Krishna? Let us attack him. He is nothing but a lusty cowherd boy. He cannot take away the princess in this way. Let us all attack him. This is an intense of the emotion caused by the presence of enemy. Srila Rupa Goswami is trying to prove by the above example in the relationship with Krishna, there is no question of the impersonalism. All personal activity are there in the relationship with Krishna. Madness. Srila Billamangal Thakur pray in this book as follows: Sri, let Srimati Radharani purify the whole world because she has surrendered herself completely unto Krishna. Out of her ecstatic love for him, she sometimes acted just like an adult person and attempted to chunk yogurt, although there was no yogurt in the pot. And seeing this, Krishna becomes so enchanted by Radharani that he began to milk a bull instead of a cow. These are some of the instances of intensity of the madness in the connection with the love affair of Sri Radha Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam, it is said when Krishna entered in the poisonous water of the Yamuna, Srimati Yashoda Devi went insane. Instead of searching for curative herbs, he began to speak to the tree as if they were snake chanter. With folded hands, he began to bow down to the tree, asking them, "What is the medicinal herb that can check Krishna dying from the poisonous water?" This is the intense of insanity caused by some great danger. How a devotee can be in a state of instantly because of ecstatic love is described in the 10th canto 13th chapter verse 4 of Srimad Bhagavatam, wherein the gopi were search for Krishna in the in the forest of Vrindavana. The gopi were loudly singing on the glory of Krishna and wandering from the forest to another in search of him. They knew that Krishna is not localized but all pervading. He is in the sky, he is in what in the he is in the water, he is in the air, he is in the super soul in everyone's heart. Thus the gopi began to inquire from all kind of tree and plant about the Supreme Personality God. This is the intense of ecstatic madness of the part of the devotee. Similarly, there is a symptom of disease caused by the ecstatic love. This condition is created by learned scholar as by Mahabhava. This being Mahabhava. This highly elevated condition is also called Divyonmada or transcendental madness, forgetfulness. When Krishna was absent from Vrindavana, was staying in Mathura, Srimati Radharani sent knew to him this mother, the queen of Braja, was feeling the such separation from him, and that there is a foam coming from the mouth, like foam in the foam on the soul of the ocean. And sometimes she was raising her arm like her arm like a wave of the ocean, and because of her intense feeling of separation, she was rolling the ground and creating a tremendous roaring sound. Sometimes she was remaining completely silent like a calm sea. This symptom of separation from Krishna are called apasamara or forgetfulness. One completely forgot his position when he manifested this symptom in ecstatic love. Another message was once sent to Krishna informing him that after he killed Kamsa, one of the Kamsa's demon friend had gone insane. This demon was foaming at the mouth, waving his arm and rolling on the ground. This demonic demonstration in his relationship with Krishna is a ghastly human. This mellow or the flavor is one of his indirect relationship with Krishna. The first five kind of relationship are called direct, and other seven are called indirect. Some way or other, the demon must have some relationship with Krishna, because there is a symptom developed when he heard that Krishna had already killed Kamsa. Sri Rupa Goswami remarked that there is a transcendental excellence in kind of symptom disease. When the Krishna was absent from the Vrindavana, was staying in the Mathura, some of the friend informed him, "Dear Krishna, because of their separation from you, the inhabitant of the Braj are so affected that they can appear to be in disease. Their body are feverish, and they cannot move properly. They are simply lying down on the ground and breathing heavily." In the 10th canto, 12th chapter, verse 44 of Srimad Bhagavatam, Maharaja Pariksit asked about Lord Ananta. Upon hearing this question, Sukdev Goswami began to show symptom of collapsing. Yet he checked himself and answered King Pariksit question in the mild voice. The collapsing condition is described as a feverish state of resulting from ecstatic pleasure. There is another statement in Srimad Bhagavatam telling of the damsel of the Braja meeting Krishna as a scared place of Kurukshetra. Many years after their childhood pastime, when and they can meet in that scared place, all the gopi become stunned by the occurrence of the solar eclipse. Their breathing, blinking of the eyes, and similar of activity stopped, and they stood before Krishna just like a statue. There is another instance of a disease condition resulting from the exuberant transcendental pleasure. So Hare Krishna. So here we conclude the reading of the Bhaktivedanta purport. I hope all you understood. Now let's go to the insight. Please listen till the end.
Today, we're diving into a really fascinating spiritual idea, a framework where some of the most intense forms of suffering aren't things you run away from. No, in fact, they're seen as the absolute highest expressions of love. It sounds totally backwards, right? I mean, we spend most of our lives trying to be happy and avoid pain. So how on earth could something like madness, or guilt, or even physical disease be a sign of some profound spiritual connection? Well, that's the core question we're going to unpack together. So to make sense of this, we've got to understand where the idea comes from. We're exploring a concept from the Gaudiya Vaishnava school of thought, and they have this remarkably detailed map of the human and divine heart. At the very heart of this tradition is a specific number, 33. Now, that's how many distinct emotional and physical states they've listed. But these aren't just, regular feelings. They're considered actual symptoms of an overwhelming ecstatic love for the divine, specifically for Krishna. The term for this whole thing is Vyabhichari Bhava. And look, this is not your everyday run-of-the-mill love. It's a transcendent state where the soul is so completely overwhelmed with devotion that it actually manifests physically and emotionally in these 33 very specific ways, covering, the entire spectrum of human experience. And this is where it gets really wild. The list doesn't just include things like joy and bliss. It also includes envy, violence, disease, madness, and guilt. So the question is, how can these feelings be seen as legitimate, even celebrated, signs of divine love? Let's break it down. Okay, let's start with one of the most powerful themes here, longing. The core idea is that the pain of being separated from the one you love can actually ramp up that love to an ecstatic, almost unbearable degree. So, take disappointment. In this context, it's got nothing to do with failing a test or missing a promotion. It's that deep, profound ache you feel when you can't be with or serve the person you love. It's a spiritual kind of heartbreak that actually shows up physically, with anxiety, tears, and labored breathing. There's this beautiful analogy from the source text that illustrates this perfectly. When Krishna left town, his friend felt like the entire world had just lost its sweetness. He said it was as the bees go away from a flower that has no honey. Wow. That's not just sadness. That's the feeling of a world being completely drained of its meaning. And it's the same with lamentation. It can be a form of deep devotion. There's a story of an old devotee looking back on his life, and he's filled with this deep regret. But it's not for worldly failures. It's for not having developed a taste for Krishna's love, which he calls moonlight. That regret itself is just such a powerful expression of love and longing. Next up, let's look at emotions that come from a sense of total humility and awe when you're face to face with the divine. And this isn't about feeling worthless, not at all. It's about recognizing the sheer vastness of the one you love. This brings us to a fascinating distinction between ordinary guilt and what's called ecstatic guilt. Everyday guilt is feeling bad because you broke a rule. But in this spiritual context, a devotee might feel an anxious guilt that her mother-in-law might overhear her chanting Krishna's name. See, it's a guilt born from overwhelming love, not from doing something wrong. And this table here really shows how these feelings play out. Notice how humility can actually be triggered by fear for Krishna's safety. And guilt isn't about sin, it's about feeling like you haven't served him perfectly. Even something like fatigue from ecstatic dancing or chasing after him becomes this physical sign of immense devotion, showing up as perspiration and heavy breathing. All right, now we're getting into the most extreme states. This is where the devotee's sense of self starts to completely dissolve in this overwhelming sea of love. Let's talk about intoxication. But we're not talking about wine or anything like that. It's a spiritual kind of intoxication that comes purely from being in the presence of the beloved. The texts actually describe Radharani becoming completely intoxicated, talking nonsense and laughing just from looking at Krishna. And to get a real sense of what this is like, just listen to Lord Balarama. In a state of this spiritual intoxication, he sees the whole world distorting around him. He's asking why the moon looks long and why everyone's laughing at him. His perception is completely altered, not by a substance, but by the pure force of his love. And this leads to a state called Divya Anmada, which literally means transcendental madness. It's actually considered a highly elevated state. The gopis, the cowherd girls of Vrindavana, were so mad with love while looking for Krishna that they started asking the trees and the plants if they had seen him. Logic just completely dissolves, replaced by this pure, desperate love. The body just fully reflects this inner state. A devotee might become so forgetful they literally roll on the ground, completely unaware of who they even are. Intense separation can cause a real physical fever. And in the most extreme cases, the ecstatic shock is so great it can even mimic the symptoms of death.
The soul's emotion completely takes over the body.
So, what's the ultimate point of all this? I mean, why embrace such a vast and often painful range of emotions? Well, it all comes down to the core meaning behind this entire framework.
The author of these texts, Srila Rupa Goswami, says it plainly. He states that in a relationship with Krishna, there's no such thing as impersonalism. Every single possible human emotion, every personal activity, it all has a place. This isn't about dissolving into some abstract, formless void.
And that's really the crucial point. This staggering range of emotions exists to show that the relationship with the divine is a living, breathing, personal one. It's messy, it's intense, it's painful, and it's beautiful, just like the deepest human relationships we know. Nothing is left out.
And that kind of leaves us with a final thought to chew on. We so often see our intense emotions, our anger, our sadness, our anxieties, as flaws, as things to be managed or even gotten rid of. But what if this tradition is onto something? What if the full, chaotic, messy range of our feelings isn't a bug, but is actually our greatest capacity for a profound, ecstatic connection?